Messi and breaking Major League en la ciudad del sol. Here in Miami, we know who's el campeón. Leo my team, yeah. Suárez on the field, Alex wedding dating. Como que ya es un win. The trio of everything, muchachos. Las familias se escuchan los barrios. Esta camiseta pinky la llevan todos los guachos. Los rookies quedan sin comentarios. Messi ambetea, tiki-taki gol. El estadio Chase bañado en gloria y sudor. Aquí se ama y se respeta el balón. Florida es tu casa, acostúmbrate al calor. Estate listo pa' Messi and estate listo pa' Messi and
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of Messi and Co. I'm Ashley here, as always, with my incredible co-hosts, Gian and Matt, back after a week and after... By the way, can you guys hear me okay? Because I think my thing dipped out, but you guys hear me okay?
I hear you perfect.
Cool. Well, so like I was saying, we're back 6 days later after to discuss, first of all, the first leg that was probably not what we all hoped and dreamed. And then there was, the MLS game on Sunday that Sunday that had, albeit a lot of rotation, but also not a great result, leading us to now, which is previewing tomorrow's absolute must win, must demolish second leg of the Champions Cup semifinal preview. Inter Miami versus Vancouver. It will be at Chase Stadium in Miami. A lot to talk about, I think. A lot of subject lines. But why don't we start with chronologically last week's match. We were all obviously hyped getting ready for it. We had a really fun stream beforehand. I was like, this is when we turn it around. 2-1, like, vamos. And then there was 2 goals, but they weren't ours. And it was obviously a difficult night for Inter Miami. What did we see there, and how did we feel watching it?
I could tell you right now that I wasn't happy while eating my ice cream. I could tell you that. I could tell you that right now. I mean, Gian, do you want to start? Or do you want me to start? Because I feel like
no, I'll piggyback off. I'll piggyback off of you. Go ahead.
I mean, because look, this. Maybe we all knew that this Vancouver team was a really good team, and in terms of chemistry, in terms of how they play together, but I still had that, okay, but we're still like the best. We're still the best team in the league, right? Like, we still got the best roster in the league. But it seemed like, even though Vancouver at 1000% deserved to beat us, and it's very, very frustrating the way that we played, especially with some players still not showing up, like Luis Suarez, even with like Tadeo Ashende or Redondo getting a start. Things like that were frustrating. And I don't know, like when you face a Vancouver team like this one with Berhalter, who played very well, with White, who has been like probably the best striker in the league right now, or one of the best strikers in the league right now, and with the great defense in Veselinovic, with the right back Ocampo played great. It's like, damn, like now we're gonna have to come back into the second leg and score 3 unanswered goals and possibly a 4th if they score 1-2. So it's like it leaves you with like such disappointment, and it honestly wasn't really the result I was expecting. Like a 2-0 loss wasn't really what I was expecting. But I don't know what you thought, Gian.
I think that we just saw the culmination of what's been going on this season offensively by Mascherano, and I think the lack of ideas, the lack of the right personnel at the right times, just all came crashing to this one game where we needed most the best out of every player. I think that that's basically how Inter Miami has been operating, where Mascherano is just basically, his game plan is give the ball to Messi, cross your fingers, throw a little prayer out there and hope that he can create something out of nothing. Meanwhile, everybody sits around and stacks up on the defensive line. He usually has 3 or 4 people on the defensive line just waiting there for Messi to figure out a way to put a pass, for Messi to figure out a way to shoot. And I think that that's just not sustainable, as we saw. Early on in the season, we saw that we were unbeaten, but I think that we look at those stats and we look at those numbers, and I think it's a little bit it's not a real picture of what is going on with this team. It can, we not lost rather, but we had games where we dropped points, 3 games, they were all ties, and some of these teams that we were playing were not top tier teams. So I think at the same time we were looking a little better than maybe the record showed, or rather, we looked better on the record than what the actual product on the field showed, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah, man, they have to figure out the offense. They really do. And you're muted, by the way, Matt.
Sorry, that was a very rookie mistake. What was I gonna say? I get where you're coming from in that sense with the teams that we've played, but at the same time, like, they weren't in that bad of teams. Like, we play teams like Philly, we've played teams like Charlotte, we've played teams like Columbus, we've played teams like even LA. I mean, like, the only times where we actually dropped points were to mid teams against Toronto and what was the other one? What was it? Chicago.
Well, what about Champions Cup? Like, you look at the Champions Cup run. Champions Cup, first up you go against Sporting Kansas City. Not the most difficult opponent.
Yeah, no.
Then you go against Cavalier. And Cavalier, I'm sorry, but you look at this team, you look who's on this team, you look who's on Cavalier team. Like, were you really expecting it to be that close between Cavalier and Inter Miami?
Of course. No,
and then you go against LAFC, that isn't the best. It's not the LAFC team that maybe you feared last season, right? This was a team that should have been beaten, I think, a bit easier, and they didn't look good either. But more than that, I guess, is more than the result. It's the eye test, and the eye test never looked good, because if you just look at the score sheet, you see, okay, we're winning. What's the problem? Look at the fashion in which we were winning. There were some of these games where we were this close to losing, where Inter Miami at the end would give up the ball, and 20-25 minutes, it's like, we're just getting pummeled and we kudos, we still came out to win, but offensively the team never looked good. I don't think that the offense, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, I don't think the offense not looking good, it just happened over the last couple of games. The offense really hasn't looked good for I think quite some time now, and I think it's very apparent that it's because there's an over-reliance on Messi, and other than that, there's no imagination, creativity coming from Mascherano.
Yeah, well, just getting through some comments, saying hi to some people. This is a comment that I think is a good way to transition into the next topic, which is, do we think we have a locker room issue? They look off and not confident when playing. Something is off with this team, and rumors are out that Messi has shown his dissatisfaction with Mascherano's lineups. Now, what do I mean by this is a transition? Because I think, to your point, Gian, from just looking at it from the X's and O's, or just seeing it on the stat sheet, Inter Miami undefeated in the semifinal, already made it farther than last year. Seems like things are getting better, but when you're watching the actual game, especially from an offensive perspective, it's looking grim. And I would say last week was probably the first time where I really was like, I think Mascherano's inexperience showed, and he was trying to go with what was safe rather than what was better, and trying to mix things up. I mean, he has every time to prove me wrong, and it only takes one match. But Luis Suarez has had a huge downfall so far this season, and and when he is not scoring goals, knowing that Messi is sometimes playing further back and obviously isn't sprinting as much, etc., it really leaves this team lopsided and really without only a singular way of attack. And we need to see some movement, because circling back to that comment, Messi isn't the problem when you're watching this team in this game, especially. I mean, I said it to us in the beginning of the match, and I would say it throughout the whole 90 minutes. Messi was moving. He was moving. He was playing a lot of defense, more than he should. He was creating a lot. in the midfield and having to come all the way almost to the halfway line a lot to start trying to create those passes and offense, which he shouldn't be doing either. He was trying and doing everything. His spirit was at 100. In my opinion, I was like, when I can name a few problems on the field, I didn't think Messi was one of them. I think the players around him are the problem. And that makes me nervous because Messi is supposed to be that thing that puts us over the line, right? Everything else is supposed to be working in balance to him. And I think the pieces right now aren't doing that. And it worries me because I don't know if those changes will be made. Who would you guys say would be, if you could have control for tomorrow's starting lineup, and there's one player who you would change out? You can say multiple, but let's start with one player who started last week's match who you would switch for tomorrow that you think will make a tangible difference. Who do you think it is?
Before we get into that, I guess I'll lead into that with saying that with Mascherano, one of the things I believe is either his stubbornness or what you said is just his lack of experience, I think, for him, because we see his inability to make changes in the game, to adjust to what's going on the field, to adjust to the scoreline, to adjust to the needs of the team. He had guys that are no longer on this team, like Robert Taylor, like Gressel, like Afonso, that he just never used when we needed a spark off the bench offensively, and he'd stick to his quote-unquote regulars, where maybe those regulars, I think, weren't necessarily what the team needed. You would see a very stale offense, an offense that needed a guy that can maybe take one guy or take two guys to open up spaces, to jump the lines, to then create plays for others. A lot of these teams that we'd play against would basically very organized on defense, right? And would close the spaces and would make it very difficult, a lot of times giving us the left wing or the right wing and playing very narrow. And you needed somebody that would be able to do that. And, a lot of times you'd bank on Jordi Alba to have that connection on the left side, or, with Messi. But then you have Robert Taylor, who, what do you lose? Minute 70, 75, you need a goal. You need something. And you don't put Robert Taylor that can take a couple of guys. The guy can dribble. I mean, I remember seeing him last season, and even in the Leagues Cup run that we had, dude could take people and create things out of nothing. Same thing with Afonso. I think after Robert Taylor, Afonso is probably our other most creative player. And I'm not, obviously there's Messi, but I'm talking about everybody but Messi. He's another guy that can take one. He's got the speed. He's got the Brazilian, form of playing and that sort of thing. Those are guys you need. And when did they get minutes? Like, didn't get the minutes that they should have gotten, or the opportunities they've gotten. I think that would have helped. Moving on into what you said, Ash, like, who can maybe make a difference moving forward?
Wait, Gian, wait. I want us all three to say a player at the same time, and let's see if it's the same player, and then we can go from there. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, this is a player that doesn't get minutes,
that didn't play last week, that we want to play
okay.
tomorrow, that we think would make a big difference. And I think because there are multiple, and we'll get into it, and I'll let you go after, Gian. But this is just a social experiment. I'm going to count to 3, and when I say 3, we all say it. Okay.
Okay. Wait. Sorry. One more time. Is this starting or just at any?
We want to start tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Who we think will make who we think would make a difference in the starting lineup. I have 2 answers, but I'm going to say one. We'll see if I'm just curious to see if we're all thinking the same thing. We're obviously going to be like a second off, but I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay.
Ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Ian Frey.
Right.
None of us had the same.
What'd you say?
But all 3 of them should
What'd
do
you say,
it.
Yeah. Fafa.
But we're all right, though.
Yeah.
We all had different answers, but we were all right.
Exactly. I actually do
we're
agree.
all right.
I think all 3 players need to start tomorrow, honestly. It's so funny you said Fafa, Gian, because I was thinking Fafa, but I was like, there's no way Gian would say Fafa. He would say Ian Frey. So that's why I said Ian Frey.
It's true, though. All 3 should
all 3
start,
should. But what's the order important then? Let's go from that. And I think all 3 100%, but let's say we live in a realistic world where maybe not all 3 happen. Which 1 or 2 has to happen? Go ahead, Gian, you start.
It's Frey and Bright. Those are the top 2 that have to start. I think lose in defense and what you lose in a constant in the midfield, a reassurance in the midfield. What you lose with Redondo to have a bit more of attack, I guess, or a little bit more of playmaking. I don't think is enough to warrant that, especially because I haven't seen the playmaking as much that we've come to expect from Redondo. So I would go with Bright. That really helps you out in the midfield. And Bright, to his kudos to him. I think that his game has evolved little by little as he's getting more playing time, where he feels more confident in dribbling. Like we've seen him dribble the ball, which I thought was amazing. That's like you're literally seeing the evolution of a player's game right in front of your eyes. And he's been confident enough to make maybe passes that he wasn't making. So for me, it's Bright, and then Ian Frey. I mean, I think we all know why Ian Frey, but I'll let you guys talk about that one.
Matt, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I think I think Yannick Bright is like number one priority in terms of him starting making the difference, because there is no world right now where Redondo makes that start over Yannick Bright, because Yannick Bright has been lights out every single time that he touches the field, and Redondo does just not live up to that same performance. Yeah, and bouncing what Gian said about his Yannick Bright's development and confidence, like he's been getting a lot better on the ball. Like we all know that Yannick Bright being that guy that dominates that midfield, that makes the tackles, that makes the interceptions, even makes those passes. But like on the ball, maybe he struggled a little bit. Now he's getting like significantly better at doing so. And I understand that maybe he can't play 90 minutes every single time for fitness or whatever. But it's like in a game like this, Yannick Bright has to be in the midfield with Busi. Now, with the conversation between Fafa and Ian Frey, I love Ian Frey, and I thought he did great, obviously, last time against Dallas, and he really showed everybody how he needs to be starting in more games. It's very difficult because I thought Fafa needed to come on, and this could be a completely different conversation, but I thought Fafa needed to come on in that Vancouver game last week. Like, he needed to come up with it, because Tadeo Allende and Velasco Segovia, in my opinion, were just not getting the job done.
In this scenario?
Yes, I am. Everybody's been calling me Julian Alvarez. It's been, literally when I go to the stadium, in fact, like I would get, like people would yell across, or like if I'm walking down like the stadium, they just be like, "Is that Julian Alvarez?" And especially if I walk around with the Argentina jersey, people would say that.
Wait, is that them?
Julian Alvarez walking into a game?
Is that random, or because they recognize you from the pod?
No, because apparently people say I look like him. They've been saying this now for like a year. It's like people like when I used to volunteer for Inter Miami, like I would be there as like either a ball boy or like helping out the refs. I would like walk around the sidelines, and then people would literally yell out like, "There's no way that's Julian Alvarez working the Inter Miami game right now," or like, "There's no way, is that Julian's brother?" Like they would genuinely be confused. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah,
well, that's good.
Do you guys see it though?
I think the haircut is very similar, and I mean,
I have the jersey. Well, I don't have it on me now, but
his hair's a little longer now.
My whole family tells it to me. All my friends who know like soccer, they say like, yeah, like
the top right one, the top in the Atletico shirt.
The what?
The top right
in the Atletico shirt.
Oh? Yeah, maybe.
Not bad.
You guys don't see it?
Maybe.
Oops.
No,
anyways,
literally, that's what everyone. No. That's maybe we need Julian Alvarez to help us out. Honestly, he's been popping up. He's been Atletico Madrid's probably the best player. But no, Tadeo Allende and Velasco Segovia, in my opinion, are just not getting the job done. And I thought Fafa off the bench would have been extremely, extremely useful, especially the fact that he knows these guys. He's played with them literally, what was it, last year? And I think his speed, his creativity, his dribbling down the wing, his crosses, his shooting, whatever the case may be, I thought he would have been a real threat offensively. So if I were to have two of the three, I don't know who I would choose between Fafa and Frey, but I just know for a fact Yannick Bright has to be in that midfield no matter what.
In my opinion, I think that Ian Frey and Yannick Bright are non-negotiable in terms of you need to start them tomorrow, or else you're going to have a lot of people putting a lot of questions on Javier Mascherano. I think there's a lot of factors that could have gone into why they didn't play last week. For Ian Frey, it was on turf, and maybe it was just never going to be, and maybe that was always what they knew, knowing his history of injuries. And Cello working his way back, having a few good matches. We even said a few weeks ago he had a couple good matches. But, especially after watching Sunday, Ian Frey is significantly better than Cello. Significantly better. It's not like close. Significantly better than Cello. And in a match like this, where not only is it a must win, but it's a must win by multiple goals in order to get into a final that you host of a continental trophy, this is where you are playing your best available players who have the best skill set and the best ability to impact your team positively. Ian Frey is one of those people. Yannick Wright too. I'd say, there people can have, I think, not questions, but with Yannick Wright's age, the amount he had to play last year, etc. If people are saying, as long as Busquets is there, Redondo or Bright, some games you can swap them. I think that's probably true sometimes as it relates to the MLS season as a whole. Again, not with a final on the line when you're down 2 goals. Like, now it's not questions of who can be in the match. It's about you need to have literally your best available 11. I would say Fafa is in that over Allende right now, just based on form and danger, because I've seen in multiple matches recently Fafa showing that he can stretch the defense more than the other offensive players. He's using his speed and scaring defenses. He's scaring them. Like, when he runs and makes those runs, he's causing defenses to switch. Allende has that ability, and we saw it, but he hasn't been doing it at the same level recently, maybe because of injury, maybe because of tactics. I don't know. If Fafa doesn't get the start, okay. I expect him to get subbed in. He should have been subbed in last week for sure, but I expect him to be subbed in. The other two, in my opinion, are non-negotiable. And if we see neither or either of them start, then I think it shows a big coaching lack, because this is a game where you play your best players, no other questions.
For me, the Allende thing is not necessarily more on him. I feel like it's more on Mache. Like,
that's why I said tactics, or because of
like the offense. Yeah, like, I don't know. That's what I feel like. To me, he's just not being put in a position to succeed. Same with Suarez. Like, I know that Suarez has gone down a bit. I think in quality, he hasn't scored in like 12 games. I think it's like 12 games. No, Velasco hasn't scored in 12 games. But
Suarez has been like a month. His last goal was against
his last
Cavalier,
goal,
I think.
But still, even with Suarez, you see a couple glimpses of brightness. You see good hold-up play. You see someone very smart. Like, of the players on the pitch that are a problem, and Suarez is one of them, clearly, because he's not scoring. It makes a huge difference. But he's not my top 3. You know what I mean? In terms of what I think automatically needs to get switched, because he's still Suarez, and when you need someone to score goals, you still choose him over a lot of people, in my opinion. Not to excuse his play, but I'm just saying you're not going to do a whole 7 new players. So being practical on who actually would we see the changes for.
Do you think Ian Frey would play 90 minutes? I know this is like, that was...
Yeah, he should. Yeah.
Because, like, I just feel like I don't see him playing 90 minutes if he were to start tomorrow. I just don't know. Like, I feel like Mascherano would take him out at some point. I don't know if it's like he's scared to risk him for that long. I don't know. Like,
I'd rather him start and get taken out in the 70th.
I'm gonna look it up. I want to see the last time
tomorrow.
Played 90
Tomorrow is the biggest game they've ever played, in my opinion, in their short history. Tomorrow is the day that could make or break Mascherano's career with Inter Miami, in my opinion, as well, because this team has been given the final on a golden platter. And they've had the easiest route, as I said before, as opposed to Vancouver and other teams. So I think that for him, it's basically make or break, or or because if he doesn't win this, then the other only opportunities he has to win a MLS Cup. If not, for me, he shouldn't be here next season. So I think he realizes that as well. He realizes it also because he made a comment on one of his press conferences where they asked him about the game, and he said the upcoming game that they had nothing to lose but everything to win. And then he actually ended up, after clarifying that and like kind of backtracking on we don't have anything to lose, and he was like, I was like, yeah, you should have. Good thing that you backtracked that, because that didn't make any sense. You have everything to lose. Like you can't go in there. He was basically making it seem like we can go in there free, and calm and like without the pressure. That's basically kind of what I got from that. And I'm like, no, you have all the pressure in the world. That doesn't exist. You have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose is the team that is the underdog, the team that nobody expects to win, the team that made it there on a historic run, and they're playing against, like, what nothing to lose is? Making it to the semifinal of the FIFA Club World Cup, Inter Miami versus Real Madrid.
Right.
Inter Miami has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
This is not everything. Miami has everything to lose in this one. Mascherano has everything to lose. Messi has everything to lose. So they got to go into that game with that mindset that they have to win. If not, it's going to be one of the biggest upsets, I think, in history. And yeah.
Do you think they understand that? Do you think they understand that pressure, that expectation? Because I mean, like, maybe he instinctively said that, thinking that he wasn't taking it, or he didn't think it was as serious, or maybe that's just me speculating.
In my opinion, I think I wouldn't say Messi has everything to lose. I think Messi's probably achieved everything. And like I said, in all honesty, like, Messi has not been the problem on the field. It's shocking. I know, like, breaking news, he's good. But, even last week, I thought he played really well. And I thought he worked his ass off, and he ran and he went back and he did a lot of things that we normally wouldn't ask of him. I also think for Mascherano, and I think the fact that something came out in the last week where it said Messi was not happy with the tactics does not happen by accident. That is something that would never be shared or leak as a story when it comes to Messi and his camp for most people or players. And this early on, I think Mascherano has actually a very short leash. And I think, although they have a very good relationship, and like I said, I hope Mascherano shows, picks a hell of a team tomorrow and they win and things keep going. I'll back him and I'll say he figured it out. But if he continues making those mistakes, I don't think it's like Tata. I think you're out, because Messi is the priority. Messi is re-signing. The team underperformed last year in certain aspects. This is, now going into year 3. There's no more of like, oh, it's just a happy story that Messi's here. Like, I think there's a short leash and they demand win.
I wonder how much of that is real, though. Like, the whole Messi thing and about him being unhappy. Like, I obviously I think he's unhappy, but I don't know about how much that would be leaked, or he would say that to somebody and then because at the end of the day, like, that also looks bad on him if he's not happy with the tactics. He's a reason Match is here. Like, it's on him as well. Like, we can't pretend we don't know that that's the only reason Match is here. Match is not here because he's accomplished anything. Match is not here because he's a proven coach. Match is not here because of what he did with the Argentinian youngsters. Like, the only reason Match is here is because Messi's here. And if that was true, like, Messi has something to do with that as well. So I don't think Messi would want that to get out. I don't think he'd leak it. Like, I don't know if that report's really, really true, even though deep down inside he may be disappointed, but I don't think that's something that he would have shared out loud. It also doesn't seem like him. Like, I don't know, like, if you follow his,
that's what made me think that I thought it happened, because it seems so unlike him, and that normally wouldn't, which is why, like, I feel you, but that's just what made me think, that's weird. Something that normally wouldn't happen, but maybe that's why it did, like, reverse psychology. But you could be right too.
This is also the spicy Messi era.
He has been spicy recently, to be fair. He's, I think, because I it's the end of his career, obviously, and probably, like, hopefully at least another season with Inter Miami, obviously the World Cup next year. I think he makes it clear when he's unhappy, and again, he is playing hard and trying hard. It's not like where he's letting everyone do the work, and just walking or whatever. He's playing hard, and he think about what he did in the LAFC game. He put the whole thing on his shoulders and back. And so I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know about the statement being true or false, but I do think it does make me believe in general, which we all agree that like Mascherano has a very short leash. And I think winning it's not like Tata. It's not. I think if you make the mistakes and if, you don't make those changes tomorrow, we lose, we don't make a comeback, we see more stale offense. I think you'll see drastic changes, knowing we got rid of 2 playmakers in the last week.
Yeah, I think to me also one of the big interesting storylines here and see how it will develop is with Suarez. I mean, at what point does Suarez end up maybe not getting the amount of minutes that he's getting? Now that we saw Ovando score, and maybe Ovando's getting more into rhythm, that we start to see a bit more of sharing the playing time between them. I think that'll be interesting to see as the time goes on. And then thinking about Suarez, look, as much as I think that Suarez has been in a slump and that Suarez hasn't given us what we've been accustomed to from him as of late, I think that Suarez still needs to start tomorrow just because of the experience. I don't think you put in an 18-year-old Ovando that just got here just because he scored 1 goal. I think that him scoring a goal, him looking good at times, holding the ball and being able to people to play off of him and that sort of thing, I think is gives you confidence as a coach that you can actually use him, right? When the need has come, whether that's, you needing another goal and there's half an hour left and maybe Suarez is tired, you could switch him, or whether that's you just want to have another offensive presence and you still keep Suarez on the pitch, but you have him playing along with Orlando. I think that's kind of what I read from that game, is that now you are slowly going to have that option. But you're not going to start an 18-year-old kid in a must-win game of this magnitude. It's still Suarez. You got to roll with him. You have to have the confidence that with all the years of experience he has, that he's going to come in and do what he has to do. But at the end of the day, now you've got this weapon in your back pocket that you can use if needed. And to me, that's the key indicator for tomorrow. Mache, use everything you have at your disposal. Be open-minded enough to be able to make the changes you want, even if it means taking out a player that is going to raise eyebrows, even if it means doing something you haven't done in previous games. I think that he's just got to go open-minded and do it. I know, like last season, didn't we always complain about like Tata not making the substitution
in-game
time and the in-game?
Zero flexibility in match.
Exactly. So I feel like Matt has kind of fallen into that over the last few games, where he either hasn't made the changes or he's made the wrong changes. Like even looking back to this game against Dallas.
Yeah. Okay. So really quickly, I'm going to pass this to you, Matt, but I just want to get this comment really, really fast, which is, what are the updates on Frankie de Jong or Robert Lewandowski and the reports saying they may come to MLS Inter Miami? I think we're going to do an episode soon about the potential players Inter Miami may sign this summer, after we saw obviously 2 huge players taken off of the roster and payroll of Robert Taylor and Julian Gressel. I just wanted to call this out because we will be doing an episode about this, because there's a lot of big names, KDB, Neymar, etc. There's a lot of big names out there, and Inter Miami continue to rack up the roster money, the GAM, this international spot, all that stuff. So we'll see. They may be cooking. So I just want to say that comment.
Is that really? I hadn't heard that rumor. Is that really a rumor?
I didn't hear about Frank.
I didn't hear
that about Frankie de Jong.
I was gonna say
definitely not Frankie de Jong. Definitely not.
I saw maybe, but for Robert Lewandowski, I could see it happening sooner rather than later, especially with the injury you just saw. That he's but anyway, this game is what we will want to talk about. As I'm sure as the Barcelona fan, you've been up and you had quite the week, Gian. But so Matt, here's my question for you.
Hit me.
Offensively, let's say the front midfield 6, or the attacking 6, 3 midfield, 3 attackers. What's a name that we haven't said that yet that you would be pleasantly surprised maybe if they played, or a switch you'd like to see? It could be a name we said before, but just a switch that maybe isn't number 1 on everyone's agenda, but you think could really make a difference. Because I have one that's crazy, but I want you to go first.
How crazy do we go? I feel
No,
like.
not that crazy. Not that crazy.
So, I mean, no, I think
Don't be sorry.
I don't know if it's the personnel is definitely the factor. I would say like if I could put in like if I could throw in like one quote unquote like wild card that could really either throw people off or make the difference, because in my opinion that's at the end of the day is one of the downsides to how we've been playing is predictability and comfort. Like we've been playing what we're comfortable with and what we're used to and what other teams are used to seeing us play in, and it's making us very predictable. So if I were to throw in like a wild card, it would have to be like either somebody like Leo Afonso, or it would have to be something like Maxi. And that's like super super wild, right? But I think with
Maxi Falcon?
no, Maxi
Oh.
no, Maxi Morales. Maxi Morales.
Oh my God.
Oh no, Santi Morales, not
Santi
Maxi.
Morales.
I'm
I was
so
about to say,
sorry.
who
I'm
is
thinking
that?
of Maxi Morales. I'm thinking of the guy that plays in NYCFC. He's Argentinian as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah.
yeah. So
Here's-
I would only throw that out there because of how both of them. I know for Leo Afonso, I know they can't play 90 minutes. Like they're not going to be able to play 90 minutes. Oh, I think Benja would also be, I think, maybe not a game changer, but I think somebody that we can be using a little bit more correctly in a manner. But
Yeah.
with players like Leo Afonso off the bench, mainly Leo Afonso off the bench, I think he can bring something to this team that we haven't. That could really be a factor in terms of speed, in terms of getting behind defenders, in terms of getting wide even at times, or even just playing essentially. With Benja has been playing a lot better. It's crazy how Benja and Delasco have completely switched, because like Delasco is now on this decline and Benja is low key kind of on a rise. And he's been like Benja, I thought he's been playing a little bit better as of late, and he's been getting into those central positions and etc. So it's just a matter of experimenting between things like that, and I think that if we see a little bit more freedom in somebody like those players, I think like we could probably catch our opponents off guard. But I'm interested to see what you have to say.
All right, Jan, I'm going to say my crazy take, and I want you to tell me if you think it could maybe happen, it shouldn't happen, or something else you like or you want to do, right?
Yeah.
I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow you see Benjamin Kremaski starting instead of Segovia.
No.
Or
I don't
maybe
think that's a
even
crazy take.
Allende.
I think that's totally fair.
No, bro. Oh, okay.
I think
got a lot
that's
to say about
totally
that.
fair. I think
think
that's totally fair.
Kremaski, the energy right now that Kremaski has brought off the bench recently and in his matches that he's played, not to say it's like I'm saying he's the best available. That's not what I'm saying. But I wouldn't be surprised if come tomorrow when we get those lineups, you see Kremaski start. Because what is one thing you look for in a match when you're trying to do something different and get your offense rolling? You need energy and you need creativity. And Kremaski, for all intents and purposes, brings that. And so if you are trying to get people moving and take some of that pressure off of Messi to create, because when you watch Kremaski, he takes up a lot of good spaces, and I would say in the midfield attacking, and can help alleviate some of that for Messi. Again, this is not me saying I think Kremaski should start and is the solution. It's me saying I could see it happening for what we want to do, and I'd be interested to see how it plays out. So that's just my thought. Not saying amazing results or whatever, but the energy he brings is something this team severely is lacking right now.
I'm siding with you on this one, Ashley. I'm siding with you.
God,
I want to hear what Gian. I want to hear Gian.
I so often agree with you, Ash, but God, I couldn't be
I don't know if
further.
that's true.
I could not
never
be.
agree with me.
In this specific instance, I could not be further away from what you said with Benja. My goodness, you. Wow. Okay. So Benja,
I didn't say
Let's
my
hear it
choice.
then.
I
Let's
said
hear
what
it
may
then.
happen.
you said two words. You said energy and creativity. I'll give you energy. The kid runs like a monster. Like that it will give you. There's no lack of effort. There's no lack of energy. There's no lack of passion from Kremaski. Give it to him. There is no creativity. in my opinion, with Kremaski. Kremaski, to me, too often is given the ball and kills the entire momentum of the attack. You will give him the ball and he immediately will stop and pass the ball back. I hardly ever see him put the ball forward. I hardly ever see him take anybody. To me, he is not someone you want if you're trying to bolster the attack. To me, Kremasi, and I've mentioned it in previous episodes, at this point in his career, he is not a starter. To me, he is a situational player until he continues to develop. He's still young. He's good, but he's the type of guy that you want when you are in minute 60, minute 70, and you want to hold the lead. You want to make sure that you have somebody to run in that midfield and to pressure every time the opponent tries to build up. When you want somebody to, when you want to make sure you close those channels, those center channels, that is what Kremaski is for. But you lose so much in attack with Kremaski. There's no way to me right now that you would put him over Tadeo Allende, over Telasco Segovia. You wouldn't put him in over Fafa Picolt. You wouldn't even put him
So,
in.
but then on that point, let's put Segovia and Kremaski right next to each other. Are you saying that there is such a huge, like, dramatic, game-changing difference between the two at the level Segovia is currently playing at? Let's say it's Segovia at its low, Kremaski at its high. Let's just say that. And again, this isn't me saying I think it's a solution or anything. I'm just posing, thinking about what can we do to see some differences in the games. Do you think there is such a huge difference today between those two players where it would be like, absolute blasphemy to have him taken off?
I think they both bring two different skill sets, and I think one skill set is better fitted for what we're trying to accomplish tomorrow, which is trying to score goals. And that's Segovia. Segovia right now has a better playmaking ability. Segovia has better vision. Segovia can take people. Not to say that's his forte, but if we're comparing him to Kremaski, he has the ability to take a player. He has a better shot from outside than Kremaski does. I don't remember the last time I saw Kremaski shoot from outside. To me, right now, again, two different players. I wouldn't argue that one is significantly better than the other just overall as a player, even though I do think Telasco Segovia is a better player. But for what we need, Telasco right now is definitely miles ahead of Benja, and that's nothing against Benja right now. Again, I say he's still developing, but he's a situational player right now until he continues to grow. We don't need what we need right now is somebody that can score, someone that can create, someone that you can put the ball in his feet. That's not Messi right now, because just Messi has too much of the playmaking responsibilities right now. He probably still will, but yeah, I'm sorry. To me, Kremaski is like there are three other players ahead of Kremaski right now. For tomorrow, I'm talking about what we need tomorrow.
Could you say Allende and Fafa both starting, or do you think it would be one or the other?
Allende and who? Sorry,
Allende and Fafa. Like, do you think there would ever be a scenario where you could see Allende move
I
to
don't
the
think
left?
I don't think it's out of the question, but I think that who we discussed when we named our three players, I said Fafa, but I agree with what we spoke about after, where it was Ian Frey and who else? Ian Frey and Yannick Bright, who are like for sure they have to. Those two have to be in that lineup over Redondo and Chelo for tomorrow. Fafa, I think I'd be okay, but like you need guys that have like been consistent, who have had the playing time, who have been in rhythm. And to me, it's still Telasco and Tadeo Allende. This is more on Mascherano to make sure these guys are in a situation to play good. Because if you just give Messi the ball and tell Telasco and Allende, stand in a straight line along with Suarez on Vancouver's back line, like nothing's going to happen. He needs to have them move around. He needs to give them the ball and tell them, I need you to take somebody. I need you to take somebody, and that opens up the space for everybody. I need you to take, like, that's what's missing. It's not just sitting around and passing the ball laterally and just from left to right. That, oh my God, Inter Miami has possession. Oh my God, they're dominating possession. No, they're not. They're not doing crap if they're passing from left to right. Somebody needs to break the line, whether it's a pass from Boosie, whether it's Tadeo Allende taking a defender or taking somebody. That starts to open up everything for this team, and that's what they're not doing. They need that for tomorrow.
Anthony said, Ash, what are your thoughts on my last two comments? Well, let's see. Your first one was, what I'm starting to realize with Ben, I think he's more of a holding midfielder rather than a guy who's going to create offense. That could be true. By the way, I think it's like I said, it was me just posing, when you're trying to throw everything sometimes at the wall to see what sticks, right? And when it's a must win by more than 2 goals match. I don't know. I just think the energy could be something, but I don't know if he's the answer, and maybe he won't. I think he should be used as a super sub for sure. Second question, I would rather have Segovia at right or left on the wing rather than in the middle of the field where he can create more offense. Yeah, I thought at the beginning of last week's match, they switched, right? Segovia and Allende switched for the beginning of the match.
Yeah,
and I thought Segovia on the right with Messi in the beginning was actually really exciting, and they were playing well off of each other and trying to create, but they fizzled out. So yeah, I could definitely see that as an option. I'm just thinking, right now there's a lot of options. The team needs solutions, and that's Mascherano's job, is to find the solution, because we could all create our big boards and say who we think will make the difference or what will make the difference, but he's the one who has to choose the 10 outfield players that will result in us scoring a minimum of 2 goals. So any thoughts on these, Matt, on this discussion or
no? I mean, like at the end of the day, like the players just have to step up, because I think no matter who we put on there, we're talking about Velasco Segovia, we're talking about Allende, we're talking about Benja, we're talking about Suarez. All of these guys have that in their locker. They have the possibility to change the game at any given moment, but we just haven't been seeing it. And we're just, and like I've said before, it's because we're being too predictable. It's because we're not being clinical with our passes. Like what Gian said, we're literally just passing it back and forth, quote unquote, dominating possession, and then we ended up not doing anything with the ball. We need to spread the with any of these players. We just have to spread the defense out, be creative, be unpredictable, be different, find a new way to get through and be offensively threatening. And literally, you can put whoever you want at the starting lineup, with Velasco being with his technical prowess, with Allende the ability to cut in, with Benja being a stamina merchant, and but at the end of the day, they just have to show up. And we haven't seen Velasco show up. We haven't seen Allende show up since his injury. We haven't seen Benja do the absolute best, but he's getting a little better game in and game out. Suarez hasn't scored since over a month ago in March, and that's it. And Messi is trying to run around, scoring free kicks and putting passes in. We need to see something happen. Somebody needs to show up for tomorrow, because it's now or never.
69% possession to 31% possession, in leg one. We had 69% possession, and we had 2 shots on target, while Vancouver had 5 with only 39% possession. Like it's just the offense is possession is meaningless if you don't do anything with it. And it's important to do what Matt said, is just be unpredictable. That's the same thing. It's not just Vancouver. I think like we've seen many teams have figured this out already. And it was so predictable that it was easy. It was very easy. And it stinks that you had some guys that could kind of help you out, and you shipped 2 of them off out of the, 2 of them away. And understandably, from the business side, you understand it, but from the actual needs on the pitch, I mean, unless you're, you just got in a bunch of GAM, you have some international roster spots. Unless that means that you're bringing in a wing player, a player that can dribble, like, okay, maybe that makes sense, but eventually, but that's what this team needs. It needs somebody to do that. And I thought that was Allende early on, but he seems to be playing a different role now, or just you need him.
It was Allende. He was doing very well in the beginning, and then
I thought last week was so boring. And to this point of this comment, I remember screaming on to the TV last week, someone shoot, anyone shoot, just shoot the ball. Don't.
Suarez has been allergic to shooting
100 shots, and I mean.
So the thing is that what they do now is they sacrifice the better play. They sacrifice the better pass for Messi. And that's not anything on Messi. I don't even think Messi wants that. It's
Right.
just, dude, you have somebody making a run down the right side. Meanwhile, you have Messi coming in behind you, and instead of putting that through ball on whoever's cutting in on the right, oh no, Messi's coming. Let me wait and give Messi the ball. And by that time, the defense has established itself. Everybody's in a perfect block. Everybody's waiting, and now Messi, it's Messi just like what the hell am I supposed to do now? Like like if when Messi operates the best, I think when the team is like in the buildup, I would say that when Inter Miami is building up, that's when Messi operates best, because you give him the ball and he has the freedom as everybody's running back on defense. You have players that can make runs. Like that's when you need to operate the most. The moment that the opponent's defense has settled down, then I mean that is like so painful, I think, to watch. It is the most painful thing. Just like you guys need to be faster on the ball.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, obviously, although we lost, Sunday was the most exciting game, second to the LAFC game, which was because
it was exciting for like 60 minutes. Yeah.
And at least because at least players were taking chances and trying to do it and not worried, to your point of just like, if I mess up, Messi and Suarez, I've let them down. I saw there was some tweets going around, I think, popular takes about Messi isn't giving his best to the team, and that if Inter Miami doesn't perform, it's because of him. I would say it's a big factor, and I truly mean this, Messi has played at a very high level recently and is running a lot more than he probably should or needs to. He is wanting people to create, and he's wanting people to shoot, and he just wants to win. And so everyone else needs to kind of just like stop worrying about the what ifs and do. Tomorrow is going to be like, you gotta dream it and you gotta do it. And it starts with how Mascherano picks his team, and then everyone being ready from minute one to try and score and get this team to a final. So predictions. Let's finish up the show as always with predictions on the score. And if you want, who's going to score, but I think for this game, the score is the most important. Matt?
You guys want me to go first?
No, I'm going to go first. You know what? I'm going to say, listen, we're going to complete that remontada, okay?
Oh,
we're going to do it. I still look, despite what we've talked about.
Can you explain what that word means to me, please?
Comeback.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I just want to
it's the direct translation of comeback. So La Remontada will be completed tomorrow. I think, like, despite everything that we've talked about for like the last hour, at the end of the day, I'm still an Inter Miami fan, and I still hope for the best for this team. And I still think that, and look, at the end of the day, this is not a situation that it's not new. This is not new to us. Inter Miami has been in this situation before, being down and needing a very crazy result to either to win it all or to advance to the next round. And I think tomorrow's no different. So I'm predicting that tomorrow we're going to complete the comeback, and I think it's going to be a 2-0 game in regular time. And then I think the game will be won on either extra time or penalty kicks.
Just what my heart needs.
In dramatic style, in dramatic fashion, we will go through to the final.
Well, if it's anything like LAFC, that was very dramatic. So.
Yes.
All right, Gian?
All right. Well, before I go on, am I bugging, or is my like?
You're bugging. You're bugging a little, but we can hear you right now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Oh, he's gone.
Had him and lost him.
As soon as we had to give the prediction.
Yeah, right. Ducking, as always.
ducking. Yeah.
I will give mine then, which is
Let's hear it.
I think that we are going to win, and we are going to win 3-0. 3-1. But
Wait, do we go through 3-1?
I was about to say, I think it would go to extra time.
Okay.
Oh no, we have to win 4-1.
Wait, but if we do 3-1, that
They
means
haven't
it'll
win
be
it. They have an accurate
3-3.
goal.
No, we'd lose.
And
We'd
away
lose
goal,
on
they would
3-1.
lose 4-1.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It would,
'Cause I do think they're going to score one at least once. But
and you think
I
we can
think
put 4 past them?
I think we can. Oh, is he back?
Is he back? Oh,
Nope, he's not.
not yet.
I think we can turn, like, when it's all hope is there. Like, we have enough weapons where even though the offense has stalled a lot, like if we're in a crisis and the idea is everyone has to go forward, this team can score 4 goals. It's about limiting Vancouver to either 0 or 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this team can score a lot of goals if they have to. It's just a matter of if they will, and you know what I mean. Like in the LAFC game, they had to. It's do or die. For tomorrow, it's do or die. So
that's what really drives this team too, is these do or die situations where, like, compared to the MLS, it's like, well, okay, not every game matters. You can play a little bit more conservative in certain moments, but tomorrow is not that, and that second leg against LAFC was not that either against all odds. So these are the moments we live for.
They're trying to hold me back. They don't want to hear it.
We don't want to hear it.
You were probably gonna give some crazy prediction. You're probably gonna be like, Inter Miami loses.
Nah,
people were gonna come at you. I think
I was going to be, as I said before the stream started to you guys, optimistic but realistic.
Okay.
And optimistic and realistic to me means that this team is not scoring 4 goals tomorrow. This team
they're scoring 5.
They scored 5. They scored. This look. If we, it has to be. It's gonna be. It has to be a clean sheet for me. It has to be 3-0. The moment they score 1, I don't know. How does a team that hasn't scored 4 goals in I don't know how many games is going to score 4 against Vancouver? Because the moment Vancouver, look, they couldn't score against a Vancouver team that was not necessarily parking the bus or anything like that. There was a team that, you know, maybe was giving possession, but they certainly weren't parking the bus. If Vancouver scores 1 goal tomorrow, you better believe they're parking the bus. You better believe they're parking the bus. And Inter Miami scoring 4 goals against a team that parks the bus when they can't score 4 goals against a team that's playing normal, I don't see that happening. Tomorrow, this defense is going to have to be like Super Saiyan level, like the best we've ever seen them play. And we just, I mean, Ustari's going to have the game of his life. Noah Allen is going to have to look like Pau Coarsi from Barcelona. Maxi Falcon has to be Íñigo. Like, we're going to have like an insane team tomorrow, and we're going to have Messi at the top of his game. Messi, like prime Messi. Everybody's going to have to step up. No more of this, you know, BS from the way that Mascherano plans the game out. No more Tadeo Allende and Telasco looking lost. No more Suarez looking like he's 45. Like, we're going to need Suarez to look like he looked last season with the goals that he did, and we're going to have to win this one 3-0. I think that that's the only result that to me is realistic. At the end of the day, as a fan, I'll root for them, of course. Even if they score, I'm like, all right, we still got this. We still got this. From a pure journalistic perspective and seeing what this team has done, how they've looked offensively, it's 3-0 for me. That's the most realistic scoreline. 4-1 I just don't see that happening, guys. I don't know what you said after.
Well, you can be a journalist all you want. I want us to score 9 goals. Look,
9 goals.
Didn't Nashville win 7-2?
Yeah, they won like 7. Yeah,
It happened.
They scored 7. So,
but you know what?
Did you hear our predictions, Gian?
I think that's this.
You said something. I got cut off on the lines. You said it was 2-0 and then a goal in extra time.
I said, yeah. I said we were gonna. It'll be 2-0 in regular time, and then we'll either win it in extra time or penalty kicks.
2-0, but yeah.
4-1. Fight me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what did you say, Ash?
4-1. Because I like
4-1.
I like adventure. I like danger. I like fun. But 3-0, I'll be happy with. You know what I want? I want us to win. I don't care how. I don't care by how many. I
Ace,
just want us to
what
win.
team do you follow? We can make comparisons with your team.
You're talking to them? I was just saying, the team I follow.
I think
Tottenham,
Ace is a
that's
Barca
not
fan.
what I don't have good comparisons for.
Okay.
Ace Leonel is definitely a Barca fan. We've talked
But
about
anyways, all right. Well, we've done this for an hour. I think we're ready to wrap up. It'll be something tomorrow. Hopefully,
it.
a night we remember forever as an amazing remontada and remontada that
Like
will
tortada.
help remontada that will help define Inter Miami's history and add more to Messi's already GOAT status with us hosting a final and potentially a huge trophy. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I wish it wasn't such a big deficit. I wish we could go into it a little bit relaxed, but from minute one, we'll all be at the edge of our seats. And I don't care who the unlikely hero is, as long as there are them, we score and we win. That's what we want. Right?
I agree.
I think I can bet on a Messi goal if there's anything I'm betting on.
I think I could bet on a Messi goal as well. Yes.
I'm not betting nothing. I'm a jinx. I'm a jinx. I can't. It's better off that I don't bet on anybody because then we'll definitely lose.
We'll assume you're gonna. I don't know who would be pick a dark horse to score. Mine was Maxi Falcon last week. Obviously, was
the dark horse to score. I think it would be if you start seeing Frey, if not Yannick Bright. I'd love to see a rip
Yannick
from
Bright
outside a rip from outside the box by Yannick Bright.
Fell to my knees when I was like Yannick Bright with a golazo. Could you imagine?
I think Benja would be I don't know if that's a dark horse, but I think
that could work.
Yeah, I think it'd be more.
And I'm gonna choose Fafa.
I like
okay.
that. I like that.
Would love to see him score.
I will see him play.
Well, love to see him play. Right? Hopefully, we see those changes. Ian Frey, he could score too. Mm-hmm. Shoot, Suarez hat trick. Let's see it.
let's manifest it.
Thank you all so much for listening, for tuning in, for giving your comments. We obviously really enjoyed it. Huge match tomorrow. Let us know your predictions in the comments. And hopefully in a few days' time, we're back here with big smiles on our faces because we saw one of the most epic comebacks in Inter Miami and MLS history. So for this episode of Messi and Co., I'm Ashley. That is Gian. That is Matt. And we will see you next time.
See you guys.
Hasta luego.